In the wilderness survival competition, Feizhai Ye Shuangxi gains a sign-in system to become a god. From then on, Ye Shuang, a survival novice, gains rewards through daily sign-ins and gradually becomes the god of the wilderness. Chapter 01. To become rich, first roll the tree. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully checking in on the first day. Reward the tree sweeping skill book *1. Ye Shuang stood in confusion in the same spot, his pupils clearly confused as the focal length spread. In front of Ye Shuang was a desolate scene, with weeds rampant and a small forest in the distance. ASCI.FI drone flew steadily above Ye Shuang's head, with a high magnification lens capturing his face. The bewildered and honest appearance clearly appeared on the other end of the screen, where personnel in work uniforms walked back and forth. Over 100 screens displayed many figures resembling Ye's double lens on a large wall. Why is contestant number 66 not moving? Are you foolish? Let's take a look at his physical signs and breath. Standing on the high platform of the workshop, Huang Yi, dressed in a suit and with a stern expression, looked at Ye Shuang's screen and issued orders with a slightly displeased expression in his eyes. This is the control console of Program Group 45 in Area A of the Low-Level Wilderness Survival Program of Feizhai Alliance, and Huang Yi is the person in charge of this program. With Huang Yi's order, a young man sitting in front of the computer retrieved Ye Shuang's characteristic data, which displayed a comprehensive score of blood pressure, heart rate, and health level. Boss, everything is normal on the 66th. Huang Yi nodded slightly. His gaze shifted directly from Ye Shuang's screen, looked at his watch, and ordered. Delay data by 60 seconds for cache preparation. Immediately below, an engineer made an OK gesture and shouted, data delay connecting to the server is complete. Prepare to broadcast live signals. 3.2.1, start. Huang Yi's words fell, and all the signals on 100 screens were connected to the live streaming platform. The nearby broadcasting hall rang with playful and energetic voices at the right time. Hello everyone, welcome to the latest live broadcast of Survival in the Low Wilderness Area. I am Xiao. On the screen of the central control hall, a beautiful woman popped up and started live streaming in real time, followed by a scene of 100 contestants constantly rotating. Wow! It's not small, I like it. I think this stage name should be called dot. On the screen, the anchor kept introducing the contestants participating in this round of competition. When it was Ye Shuang's turn on the 66th, it happened to be a stun shot with fixed focus magnification. This guy looks tall and big, but unfortunately he's a fool. Has the league fallen to this point? Why did even fools get involved in the game? For the evolution of humanity. Give your life. Someone shouted the slogan of Global Wilderness Survival Competition in the instant barrage, and Ye Shuang finally regained consciousness from his naive state. Tong Ren's focus began to appear in front of him, and Ye Shuang finally understood his situation. Surprisingly, my soul pierced through myself in a parallel world, but this is too unlucky. Am I still such a loser in this world? Ye Shuang sneered at himself and raised his hand to check, only to find that everything had not changed when his soul pierced through. Everything was familiar to him. Being forced to participate in this working hard to survive in the wilderness for 90 days due to high-interest loans is really tiring, isn't it? Ye Shuang didn't know why he crossed from the 21st century Earth to this blue star, but after the fusion of memories, he finally recognized reality. In order to earn 1 million credit points, he had to survive on this deserted island for 90 days. By the way, it seems like there was a system prompt sound just now. Is it possible that I also have the golden finger to traverse the protagonist? Ye Shuang shouted excitedly in his heart, subconsciously raising his hands and dancing in place like an ape. Bullet screen 1. Sleeping slot found a shabby, come and watch. Coordinates #35784 at 66 bullet screen 2. Done, I need to go see a doctor to wash my eyes. I saw something I shouldn't have seen. Bullet screen 3. Hush, why would a tough guy like me click on this screen? Countless bullet comments passed by, and the popularity of Ye Shuangxi 66 surprisingly increased significantly. Upon seeing this scene, Huang Yi couldn't help but shake his head. A contestant who seemed to have gained some freshness in the early stages, but was the earliest to be eliminated in the wilderness survival. The skill book for tree climbing. Excited Ye Shuang didn't know that his every move was captured by drones for live streaming, and finally found his own golden finger on his wrist. Sign in as God System, current check.in days. Point 1, current task. None. Item list. Tree climbing skill book. Ye Shuang stopped dancing and raised his wrist to look at the SCI projection screen. He reached out and clicked on the tree climbing skill book. To become rich, first climb the tree. Using this skill book will enhance the host's top-level tree climbing skill, and any plant can become your resource. Ding! Do you want to use the tree climbing skill book? After reading the introduction of the skill book, Ye Shuang immediately received a systematic prompt. This Nima God. Ye Shuang couldn't help but show a simple and sincere smile. And this scene fell on the live broadcast camera, where the silly guy was counting his fingers in the void, showing a brilliant smile that made people unable to bear to look directly at him. The young man in charge of data in the live control room suddenly exclaimed in surprise, stood up and shouted. Boss, the 66th has been complained about by the audience, and there have been quite a few complaints. Huang Yi furrowed his brow and looked at the data displayed on the big screen. He made a 999-click complaint, which had a great impact on the weight of the live broadcast program. Little. Let's divert the audience's attention and make them ignore contestant 66. In the live broadcast room, Xiao Xiao wearing headphones immediately received Huang Yi's command and made a cute gesture to the camera. Xiao Xiao pretended to be surprised and revealed her cute little tiger teeth. Everyone, come with me to contestant 3. Our potential seed contestant has actually started preparing to light a fire. As far as I know, the location of this competition has requirements for lighting a fire. With a little guidance, we finally attracted all the audience in the live broadcast room to the third contestant's side. Huang Yi breathed a slight sigh of relief and turned to call for his agent. Who put number 66 in for the competition? The person in charge of the athlete, sweating profusely, took out a tablet and retrieved information on number 66, which showed Ye Shuang, 26 years old, a professional unemployed wanderer, with an address. Boss, this Ye Shuang meets the requirements for the competition and is also a spot drawn, so I. Huang Yi looked at the person in charge of the nervous contestant and eventually concealed Ye Shuang's information. Be careful, let's not do it again. You should know that our company has already made a single bet for this competition. If we mess it up, we'll both have to go home and grow old. The person in charge of the contestant wiped the beads of sweat and nodded eagerly. Ye Shuang suddenly showed a confident smile on the screen and walked towards the forest ahead. Ye Shuang, who has learned the tree climbing skill, seems to see a different plant in his eyes than before. The bark of this tree is good, it can be torn off and air dried to form a rope. This fruit is edible, so you don't have to worry about the early food now. Ignored by the audience on screen 66, Ye Shuang quickly collected piles of supplies in the wilderness like a fish in water. Chapter 02. Simple Grass Shed. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Congratulations to our third contestant, as the first challenger to complete the fire, who has set a new fire record in our low-level competitive zone. A small red face, watching the third contestant proudly display the fire in his hand on the screen. It's really amazing. In less than 5 hours of landing on the island, we managed to successfully raise a fire. We truly deserve to be the top contenders in this competition. Excitedly, the audience in this live broadcast room almost crowded here, with countless bullet comments and many people directly brushing gifts. Seeing the interaction between popularity and the audience, Huang Yi ordered. Number 3's performance is good, push him to the public traffic pool. When high-quality content appeared in the program, Huang Yi made a decisive decision and immediately had the third contestant be pushed out through paid channels, causing more viewers to flock in. Don't be fooled by the short time it took to start the fire. I basically prepared the materials from the beginning, and it took me most of my energy to succeed. Look at my palms, they are all blistering. The third contestant consists of 10 young men with dark skin, all dressed in competition-specific clothing, a vest, and shorts, revealing his robust limbs. Bullet Screen 1. It seems a bit powerful, but it seems like self-harm. Bullet Screen 2. You're late. Just now, I saw that the hand speed of number 3 seemed to be sparking. Bullet Screen 3. Remove what seems to be a big fire, how fast the hand speed is, envy. Good dad loves you and sends out a rocket. Wishing third player Chen Long a successful start. Someone started brushing gifts, and the production team also gained income. Huang Yi's serious face began to smile. Now we have the privilege of inviting wilderness survival expert Nizan to give a brief review of our contestants for this season. Welcome applause. Xiao Xiao suddenly inserted into the frame and patted his hands to introduce a middle-aged man with a beard, blue eyes, and a high nose bridge. It seemed that he was an expert from the Europa League. Hello everyone, I just saw the scene of contestant number 3, Chen Long, catching fire. It's great, but I think it's not right. Just entering the deserted island area, you should first understand the environment and search for. The expert named Nizan said that Chen Long's success was worthless, and the audience immediately began to spray, causing the popularity of the live broadcast room to skyrocket. Huang Yi took an appreciative glance at Xiao Xiao, which was a small strategy to find topics to guide audience interaction. Nizan was originally a retired athlete who had participated in advanced wilderness survival at the highest level, which was a competition that truly fought with his life. So when Nizan came over to take a look, he scolded all the low-level contestants to the point of bloodshed. Suddenly, the screen switched to screen 66. After looking at it for a while, Nizan's eyes became somewhat puzzled, and in the camera, Ye Shuang skillfully masturbated the tree. No, it should give Nizan a contradictory feeling of being both skilled and inexperienced. In 5 hours, Ye Shuang found a shelter from the wind and discovered countless usable materials through his tree climbing skills. But Ye Shuang, who lacks tool-making skills, adopts a professional attitude of collecting materials. Over the course of 5 hours, Ye Shuang collected over 10 meters of highly resilient vines, several bark, 13 unknown edible wild fruits, hundreds of dry firewood trunks, and 30 high-quality tree trunks suitable for building campsites. When Nizan saw Ye Shuang, he happened to see these details, but Ye Shuang clearly had many details that were the thoughts of a novice. That's why Nizan has a puzzled expression, unable to understand whether Ye Shuang's strength is really rookie. After all, those who know how to distinguish these materials in the wilderness and can also collect them from the north are all experts. Cough, it seems that contestant number 66 has his own plan. We won't look at him for now. Nizan awkwardly skipped this screen, and the audience immediately exploded. Bullet Screen A, experts have also taken a wrong look. This guy is a fool, you didn't see his silly appearance at the beginning. Bullet Screen B, it's SB upstairs. Bullet Screen C. Anyway, 66 can persist 5. No. Persist for 3 days, I will live stream and eat Xiang. Bullet Screen D, poo. Do you think using organically synthesized Xiang can deceive us? Nizan seemed very busy. He kept commenting and then glanced at Ye Shuang's screen before disconnecting. Ye Shuang didn't even know how many spectators outside were scolding him for being foolish, so he planned to build a temporary residence. Ye Shuang doesn't know how to make a fire. It's already afternoon, and he plans to use these materials to build a makeshift shed before nightfall as a resting place to spend the first night. Such good wood, it's not easy to build. Ye Shuang patted his hands and touched the straight wood, showing a confident smile. Firstly, a clearing was cleared in a sheltered area, and then according to the tactile sensation of the tree sweeping skill, Ye Shuang smashed 2 sharp cuts with a stone, resembling sharp wood cut with a knife. First, use a stone to smash these 2 large pieces of wood into the ground, and then bring a few large stones to stack at the base to stabilize them. Not bad. Ye Shuang looked at the 2 stable pillars in front of him and showed a simple smile. The tree tumbling skill was really awesome, and he could use stones to directly process the desired materials. Next is to build a crossbeam. Ye Shuang picked up a sturdy tree trunk and used extremely resilient vines to tie it to 2 roof pillars. When tying it together, Ye Shuang finally realized his shortcomings. Even though they have the ability to obtain materials, their manual skills are still too poor. It took a lot of effort to tie the tree trunk, and the knots of the vines were extremely unsightly. Fortunately, they were born stable. Scratching his head, Ye Shuang felt a bit tired. He picked up an unknown fruit from the side and ate it directly, feeling dry and astringent, but full of moisture. Not bad, at least you can quench your thirst and fill your stomach. Ye Shuang comforted himself. Bullet screen A. That's it. How dare this guy eat fruits indiscriminately? Aren't he afraid of poisoning? Bullet screen B. It seems like watching that expert live stream eating Shuang, but it seems that there's probably no chance for the 66th to die like this. A few bullet screens represent the low popularity of Ye Shuang, who even complained about when he eliminated the audience. Alright, take advantage of the time to quickly set up the leaf shed. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's check that in. If only I had a practical skill. After resting well, Ye Shuang quickly collected wide-leaved branches and used a bedding method to build a slanted grass shed for himself, which was ignored by most viewers. There are only 2 top beams and pillars, with a crossbeam above the head, followed by a tree trunk diagonally tied to the crossbeam, and the other end pierced into the ground, then covered with wide leaves on the tree trunk. Ye Shuang, who had finished all this, lay on the hay bed, exhausted and gasping for breath before falling asleep. On the first night of the Wilderness Survival Challenge, most people were anxious and uneasy. Who knew that Ye Shuang quickly fell asleep and recovered? Hearing the thunderous snoring coming from under the wooden shed, Xiao Xiao couldn't help but giggle in the live broadcast room. What a fool has a blessing. Chapter 03. Firemaking Task. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the early morning, the first ray of sunlight shone through dewdrops on Ye Shuang's wooden shed. Ye Shuang woke up from the haystack and stretched lazily. This haystack made Ye Shuang sleep a bit uncomfortable, but it was still warm. In the live broadcast room, a little spirited and charming face appeared on the screen. Good morning everyone, good morning, greetings for the first day, is anyone watching? Xiao Xiao knew that the traffic was not high in the morning, so after saying hello, she immediately shifted her attention to the deserted island contestants. It seems that everyone didn't go smoothly on the first night. More than 30 contestants didn't rest well due to the cooling down, so their next challenge is likely to be even more difficult. Xiao Xiao gave a simple conclusion and immediately turned the camera to the side of popular number 3 player Chen Long. It looks like there's a heat of a fire and caution against wild beasts. Contestant 3 is resting well and leaving so early. Ye Shuang woke up from his confusion and the first thing he did was sign in. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in on the second day. Reward 1 Ignition Skill Book, ding. Trigger Random Task. Fire Thief. Successfully starts a fire within 3 hours. The host cannot use modern technology and must start a fire using bare-handed techniques. Reward. Complete Neolithic Techniques, Task Countdown 02.59.46, Ye Shuang's eyes widened as he instinctively began to dance and dance again. Bullet Screen 1. Come and see, the fool has started again. Bullet Screen 2. Oh, ha. Surprisingly, someone is as early as me. What's so beautiful about being a fool? Go see the beautiful woman on the 7th Bullet Screen 1. Where is the beauty? I'll go take a look. Bullet Screen 2. It's contestant number 7, that beautiful woman is very miserable. The only point of popularity disappeared like this. According to the rules of the competition, the higher the popularity, the more incentive packages provided by the organizers will be available at the end of 1 month. And for those with low popularity, the staff will randomly take away the resources of 3 contestants, provided that such a low popularity contestant can persist for a month. This is a rule that the organizer can set themselves and can only operate in low-level competitive areas. Igniting skill. Inherited from ancient humans, this skill combines the wisdom of top-notch ignition. Ye Shuang clicked to learn this skill, and in the next moment, countless experiences and auras merged into his mind. Suddenly, Ye Shuang synthesized his tree climbing skills and gained a new understanding of the materials he had collected yesterday. For example, from the collected dry wood branches, Ye Shuang picked out a few sticks suitable for making a fire at a glance. We also need dry wood, wool, ropes, and fine branches. After a brief look at the resources and surrounding environment in his hands, Ye Shuang obtained the most likely method to successfully start a fire within 3 hours. Hello everyone who watched my live broadcast. With a plan in mind, Ye Shuang suddenly said to a tree ahead, thinking there was a hidden camera on it. After the fusion of memory, the technology in this world is still developing well, including various drones, small cameras, and communication technologies. And the last elimination system, Ye Shuang, is now very clear. He is worried that he will be the least popular one, so at this moment, he wants to interact with the audience in the direction he thinks the camera is facing. Everyone, look forward to it. I'm going to prepare now and try to light the bonfire in 3 hours. Ye Shuang spoke to the trees without thinking, looking very silly and ridiculous. Xiao Xiao was on a tour searching for topics when she suddenly heard the words, lighting a campfire. With a flick of her ear, she immediately followed over. Before the meeting, a silly person over 1.8 meters tall was gesturing towards a tree. The weather is so good today, I should be able to find materials that can be used. After Ye Shuang finished speaking, a strong wind rushed towards him, blowing leaves and dust all over his face, and he couldn't help but cough. Seeing this situation, Xiao Xiao maintained her final composure and did not laugh, but clearly saw the tightness of her cheeks. Just now, I heard contestant 66 say he wants a bonfire. He doesn't have any tools to start a fire, how could he come up with such a plan? Xiao Xiao looked at Ye Shuang after the interaction and quickly walked towards the bushes, bending over to touch here and there. It doesn't look very reliable. Players don't have good conditions to try to start a fire, and the weather seems to be changing now. The little novel paused by the ear, showing a sympathetic expression. Just received the news that the area where the contestants are located is about to encounter heavy rain. This time it will be a heavy rainstorm. Please rest assured that our program team has arranged an emergency response team nearby, so that the contestants' lives will not be endangered. Bullet Screen 1. Is it going to rain? Ha ha ha, I'll go call my girlfriend over and watch together. Bullet Screen 2. Not bad, not bad. Watching the contestants shivering in the rain is my favorite. Bullet Screen 3. Answer a small question. That fool on number 66 really said he wanted to start a fire in 3 hours just now. I recorded it. Bullet Screen 1. Are you so serious upstairs? Wife, come and watch. There's a good show to watch. Countless bullet comments suddenly floated up on screen 66, and unexpectedly, Ye Shuang's popularity increased, ranking second to last. On the deserted island, Ye Shuang saw the sudden change in the wind and the rolling black clouds in the sky, and cursed inwardly. I knew the system wasn't so kind. Give me skills and give me a rain to increase the difficulty. The humidity and temperature of the air on rainy days affect the difficulty of starting a fire by hand. Yi Qian only had 3 hours, and 10 minutes had already passed. As the raindrops fell, Yi Shuang ran back to the shed panting heavily. Brushing cheers. At this moment, the leaves on the top of the wooden shed hit the sound of raindrops. The rainstorm was the most violent, and only a few meters could be seen from the front. Yi Shuang took a breath and was surprised by the heavy rain. If it weren't for the location he had chosen and the wooden shed he had built in advance, he would probably have been drowned. It's not bad to rain, drink some water first, and then quickly start a fire. Yi Shuang took out 2 wide leaves to collect rainwater, and there were piles of dry firewood he had prepared in advance on the ground, as well as a few ignition materials collected before the rain. Due to heavy rain, the drone's field of view was limited, swaying and drifting to the bottom of the wooden shed, parked on a stone facing Yi Shuang's wooden shed. At this distance, the audience can finally see Yi Shuang's figure and the scene under the shed, but it's a bit blurry. Bullet Screen 1. The fool was so lucky that the shed blocked the rainstorm. Bullet Screen 2. Don't shout foolishly, is this called foresight? Bullet Screen 3. It has to be said that this fool's shed is the best among all the players. Bullet Screen 4. Not bad, out of 100 contestants, only the 66th and 15th did not get wet, Bullet Screen 5. I see you guys are idiots. Beauty 7 has a unique flavor in the rain. As soon as this barrage appeared, the few barrage on Yi Shuang's screen also quieted down. From the live broadcast data, it can be seen that not only Yi Shuang's audience flow has gone to the side of the 7th beauty, but almost the entire audience in the competition area has run over, directly pushing the popularity of the 7th contestant to the top. Chapter 04. Starting Fire. You are listening at Novel Full Audio. After drinking about 2 bowls of water with a wide leaf, Yi Shuang felt comfortable all over. After more than a day, I finally replenished enough water. We need to quickly prepare to start a fire below. After drying his hands, Yi Shuang picked up the half-dried bark next to him. Using this highly resilient bark, it can be twisted into thin ropes. Although you know this through the tree climbing skill, it is extremely difficult to operate Yi Shuang. Finally, Yi Shuanghua spent more than half an hour to make a rope that was half a meter long in the way of fried dough twists braiding. Yi Shuang, who had completed the rope manufacturing, breathed a sigh of relief, and the next step was the key. At this moment, with just over 2 hours left, Yi Shuang dared not stop and picked up a roughly circular stone tablet. This piece of stone has a relatively regular shape, almost like a natural disc, with a slight indentation in the middle. It would be a good plate for storing things. However, Yi Shuang would carefully place the round stone pieces on the ground and then pick up another elongated stone piece to knock in the middle of the round stone pieces. Under the wooden shed, there was a sound of stones hitting each other. At this moment, the sound of rain and tapping merged together, and rhythmic sounds could be heard from within the small wooden shed. Bullet Screen 1. Didn't number 66 say they wanted to start a fire? How did you start playing with stones? Bullet Screen 2. Do you believe what fools say? If he could catch fire in 3 hours, I would live stream eating Xiang. Bullet 1. I remember your ID now. If the 66th is successful, don't forget to eat Xiang, otherwise I will post your ID. Bullet Screen 2. Humph, who's afraid? If 66 fails, remember to brush 10 rockets for Dragon Brother 3, dare you. The gifts in the live broadcast room need to be redeemed using credit points, and a rocket costs 5,000 points, making it a favorite basic gift for wealthy equipment. The bet between these two viewers was 50,000 credit points or eating Xiang, which immediately attracted many viewers who went to see beautiful women to come back. Yi Shuang is still hammering his own pebbles here. As time goes by, another hour goes by, the rainstorm outside is still smaller, and the air is full of water vapor fragrance. Bullet Screen 1. I just checked the information and it's highly unlikely that number 66 could have successfully ignited in the last hour. Bullet Screen 3. Are you so serious? Speaking of where to search for information, I also want to learn and participate in competitions. Bullet Screen 2. So what about checking information? I won't give up until the last second. The audience of this barrage too clearly lacks confidence, as everyone can see that the environment will definitely become more humid after the rain. Yesterday was such a nice day, and contestant number 3, Chen Long, only succeeded when he rubbed his hands to the point of blistering and bleeding. Now Ye Shuang has less than an hour left, and the difficulty is not average. Finally done. Ye Shuang's voice trembled slightly, obviously very nervous just now. The things prepared by Ye Shuang were already sufficient to start a fire by drilling wood as usual. A wooden stick that is just soft and hard enough to ignite the fire, with a corresponding rubbing stick added, as long as the technique is sufficient, it can complete the friction and produce sparks in half an hour. However, among the techniques that Ye Shuang learned through the system topping, this method requires a significant amount of palm and physical energy consumption. Ye Shuang chose the rope drilling wood, and in the absence of time, the bow drilling fire castration version. Hi, is anyone else watching? I'm about to start drilling for wood and starting a fire. Ye Shuang showed a big white tooth and greeted the tree in the distance. At this moment, the rain has decreased significantly, and the camera parked a few meters away is clearly transmitting Ye Shuang's words to the live broadcast room. Why are so many people watching on number 66? You can report the situation. After staying up late all night, Huang Yi arrived at the control room of the live broadcast and found that Ye Shuang's real-time viewership was skyrocketing, and his popularity value also surged to the 10th from the bottom. Report to the boss. 2 hours ago on the 66th, they said they were going to start a fire by drilling wood. Coincidentally, 2 spectators couldn't bear to watch and started betting on 10 rockets, so many people watched. Huang Yi furrowed his brows. Why is number 66 just making these sensational moves? It's still raining now, and he's not thinking about storing food but challenging the high difficulty of starting a fire. Put number 66 on the big screen. Immediately, Ye Shuang's big white teeth appeared on the central control screen. Everyone has been waiting for so long and in a hurry. Don't worry, I'm even more anxious than you. I won't say much anymore, so I'll start drilling into wood to start a fire. Ye Shuang said so much, but in fact, he is adjusting his own state. After being prepared, Ye Shuang in the camera picked up a hard wooden stick and stuck it through the hole he had finally knocked out in the middle of the round stone. The diameter of this hole is just right, and after the hardwood stick is passed through, it is clamped at a height of 1/3. Then, Ye Shuang skillfully picked up the prepared rope and tied it to the other end of the hardwood stick. The fixed position of the rope is at the midpoint, and the extended part on both sides is held by Ye Shuang in his hand. He pulls and rotates it in the opposite direction until most of the rope is tied to a hardwood stick, leaving a small section that can be grabbed by both hands. What is the 66th doing? The young man who just reported the information couldn't understand and asked a question. Not only does he not understand, but most people do not understand. Only Huang Yi showed a serious expression, and it was unexpected that Ye Shuang had prepared so many tools in a short period of time. And obviously, they were all handmade. Although Huang Yi didn't know the purpose, he saw the serious and confident expression on Ye Shuang's face, and surprisingly, a kind of trust appeared in a strange way. Continue to maintain lens number 66 and transfer an additional drone from nearby to shoot from multiple angles. Hurry up. Huang Yi's sudden order startled the young man. Could it be that Huang Yi was so optimistic about number 66? The boss's orders must be executed to the end no matter what. The young man quickly operated on the control console, and the drone in the distance accelerated and began to fly over. Attention data team, prepare to launch public traffic. Without stopping, Huang Yi waved his hand and surprisingly asked people to push paid public traffic. Xiao Xiao also felt Huang Yi's attention and shifted her focus from contestant number 7 to Ye Shuang. At this moment, Ye Shuanggang is ready to start the fire. I saw him placing the fire velvet next to him, holding a strange-shaped hardwood stick in his hand, and stepping on the wooden strip for catching the fire. Let's get started, do you think I can succeed? Ye Shuang showed his white teeth and greeted with a bright smile. Bullet screen 1. I believe you. Bullet screen 2. I believe you're a ghost. Bullet screen 3. The bad old man is so bad bah, actually I think 66 seems to have something. In the barrage, most of the audience surprisingly carried a sense of anticipation, and there were also a few who cheered the onlookers. Friends, everyone, look at contestant 66. He's getting ready to start drilling and starting a fire. I can't believe that contestant 66 is still a hidden expert. Anchor Xiao Xiao timely joined the conversation at this moment, and her job was to cooperate with Huang Yi's orders to do popular marketing. Even if Ye Shuang failed to ignite the fire later, Xiao Xiao had already figured out what to say. Chapter 05. Full Screen 666. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chen Shanzhen is a well-known media figure in the Feizhai Alliance, known for his keen eye for discovering new talents in the survival competition content circle. That morning, after sending the manuscript he had written late to the editor-in-chief, he habitually opened the latest competition section in the low-level competition area. The best place to find new players is the challenge competition in the lower-level division, where 10 divisions are open simultaneously every month. Chen Sanzhen has already looked at 5 divisions this month and has not yet found a player that catches his eye. It seems that Area A started yesterday. I need to take a closer look to see if there are any good seedlings. Chen Shanzhen looked at the date of the competition introduction and quickly clicked on the live broadcast channel of the low-level A zone. As expected, there aren't many highlights. The host company of this competition, Ceylon Sports. Chen Shanzhen yawned as he saw this place lacking interest. Ha! What is this person doing? Ye Shuang's figure appeared on Chen Shanzhen's screen, and he saw the honest and tall young man half kneeling on the ground, struggling to pull a piece of rope with both hands. Did you see that? Number 66 is really a master, he actually used ready-made materials to create simple fire tools. It really shocked me. The host in the live broadcast room exclaimed in surprise, and the same group of spectators who were watching the excitement were all amazed by Ye Shuang's actions at this moment. The combination of the rope and round stone pieces that Ye Shuang spent time preparing is a simple and labor-saving device for drilling wood and starting a fire. Ye Shuang carefully controlled his balance, constantly pulling the rope back and forth with rhythm in his hands. The centrifugal force of the round stone pieces combined with the rope's flipping traction formed a constantly rotating state. The hardwood stick had already made a shallow hole in the wood below under Ye Shuang's efforts, and many sawdust could be seen falling out from the rotation. When Chen Shanzhen saw this shot, his whole body was stimulated. This feeling was his unique sensitivity, the sixth sense that appeared when he saw potential players. Surprisingly using lifestyle techniques that have never appeared before. I want to see who it really is. Chen Shanzhen quickly clicked a few times to retrieve Ye Shuang's information, and then flipped through Ye Shuang's previous video fast-forward mode to start viewing. Similarly reflected is Huang Yi, the owner of Ceylon Technology. From his perspective, he has long recognized that even if Ye Shuang failed to ignite the fire this time, his hands-on and innovative abilities are highly potential survival athletes. Send me all the information about Ye Shuang on number 66. Also, please contact Ye Shuang's agent now. Huang Yi saw the leader of the contestant in a flustered state, frowning slightly and shouting, immediately. Immediately. Quickly. In Huang Yi's questioning, all of Ye Shuang's information was displayed on the center console screen. My parents have both passed away, and I have reached adulthood in an orphanage. Now, I am living in a fat house with a subsistence allowance. Due to a loan scheme, I accidentally owe 300,000 credit points and voluntarily participate in survival competitions to win bonuses. After reading Ye Shuang's information, several black lines hung over Huang Yi's head. Boss, Ye Shuang's agent link is up, it's just. The player's manager hesitated and finally dialed the video call under Huang Yi's gaze. Hello, customer from Ceylon Technology. I am Zhang De, the financial manager of Shibata Financial Consulting Company. May I ask if you need a loan? Coincidentally, our company is launching a 12-period interest-free activity. Let me introduce you to. On the screen, there appeared a middle-aged man with a scruffy beard, his eyes still open, as if he had lost their sight, watching him instinctively withdraw from his business. Mr. Zhang, I'm not consulting about loans, but there's something I need to confirm with you, or rather consult with you. Upon hearing that he was not here for a loan, Zhang De almost fell asleep again. He waved his hand and said, it's okay to inquire about other business matters. Please leave the corresponding requirements and contact information, and I will contact you later. Huang Yi saw the other person's character and quickly expressed his plans. Mr. Zhang, are you the agent of survival athlete Ye Shuang? I would like to talk to you about the transfer of Ye Shuang's agent. I will help Ye Shuang repay the 300,000 yuan debt owed to you. How about transferring the agent contract to me? Upon hearing someone repay their debt, Zhang Da's eyes lit up instantly, revealing a professional smile. Repay the debt. Let me see. Ye Shuang, right. Zhang De clicked on his phone and immediately found Ye Shuang's information. After reading it, Zhang Da's heart flashed with the basic influence of Ye Shuang. A fat mansion without the ability to repay and run to participate in the wilderness survival competition. No problem. I don't know how to address you, sir. I can come to you with the contract in half an hour. Zhang De replied with a professional smile. At this moment, the atmosphere on the live broadcast screen seemed to reach a certain point, and the small voices were unusually excited. Huang Yi quickly said. My surname is Huang. I am currently in the XXX live broadcast hall. Just say, find me, when you arrive. Zhang De nodded and joked down the address, saying with a smile, Mr. Huang, I'll see you in half an hour. Our company currently offers discounted loan services, so I really don't consider it. Huang Yi smiled awkwardly and politely, then hung up the phone and focused back on Ye Shuang's live broadcast screen. Boss, it seems that Ye Shuang is going to succeed. His method is very effective, and black sawdust has already been drilled out. The young man in charge of data promptly informed Huang Yi of Ye Shuang's progress, and the latter nodded slightly and fixed his gaze on Ye Shuang. At this moment, Ye Shuang's face showed sweat. Although he had the help of tools, it also consumed a lot of physical energy. The sweat was truly caused by his tense state. Come on, it's ready soon. Ye Shuang looked at the wooden stick under his feet, and black sawdust kept emerging from the edge of the circular hole. The already integrated ignition skills in his mind told him that he could rub Mars out in less than 5 minutes. Steady, the more important it is to ensure the stability of the friction frequency at this time. Ye Shuang encouraged himself in his heart, pulling the rope with both hands at a fixed frequency, and the hardwood stick rotating back and forth rapidly rotated under the centrifugal force of the round stones. Shwa shwa shwa. Suddenly, there was no barrage message on the screen of the live broadcast room, and Xiao Xiao also quieted down. Everyone was holding their breath and watching Ye Shuang. This smell. It's done. Ye Shuang suddenly had a hint of joy in his eyes. Sure enough, a wisp of white smoke floated from the drilling hole under his feet. Ye Shuang grabbed it tightly and spun it a few more times before putting down the hardwood stick. A small group of sparks shimmering on the sawdust, Ye Shuang skillfully picked up the fire velvet and carefully hugged it, then lifted his arm to see the sparks stained with the light of the fire velvet. Ye Shuang held the fire velvet and gently blew out a breath. The sparks' light became brighter and brighter, and the fire velvet in his hand began to smoke, then suddenly ignited an orange flame. Success! A small excited scream broke the silence of the live broadcast room. Let's all play the number 66 on the barrage together. Let's celebrate together. At the next moment, 666 flashed across the live broadcast room with a full screen. On the screen, everyone saw a tall man holding a flame in his hands, as if in devout worship. The contrast between the flames and the human figure formed a charming scene. Chapter 06. Random Tasks. You are listening at novel-full.audio. After watching Ye Shuang's fire-making process from beginning to end, Chen Shanzhen was immediately inspired and spared no effort in writing a high-quality article for half an hour. In order to seize the opportunity, Chen Shanzhen urgently sent the recorded video materials and articles to the editor-in-chief, requesting them to be immediately posted on the front page. The efficiency of this media company is very high. In less than an hour, Ye Shuang's cover report with flames filled the media front page of the low-end survival areas in the wilderness. Prior to this, the short video of Ye Shuang drilling into wood to start a fire had already spread in the low-level survival competition circle, and the audience who came to admire it almost exploded the D-level server prepared by Huang Yi. Seeing this explosive scene, the invisible value brought by this wave of traffic has exceeded that of a single server. Huang Yi immediately demanded that the server operator upgrade it to level C. Zhang De, who happened to be rushing to collect the money, found Huang Yi with the contract. You continue to look at the data and come to me directly if you have anything, Huang Yi arranged and turned to Zhang De, saying, there are many people and noise here. Let's go to the office and sign the contract. In the live broadcast control room, everyone was very excited, and at this moment, even a blind person saw the value of Ye Shuang. In this world where survival in the wilderness is a source of pride, Ye Shuang, with his skill in making fires, feels like a rising star. Ye Shuang, who successfully raised the fire, is unaware of the situation outside at this moment because the contestants cannot access external information and only have a biochip implanted in their arms to track and monitor life signals. At this moment, looking at the fire in front of the wooden shed, Ye Shuang showed a satisfied smile. He completed the task of starting a fire in 3 hours and rushed to finish it in the last 10 minutes. The sign-in system also gave him a reward for the complete collection of Neolithic techniques. On the virtual page of his wrist, Ye Shuang saw the information about this reward. Complete collection of Neolithic memories. This is a collection of wisdom crystals handmade during the Neolithic age, including ground stone tools, woven linen fabrics, fired pottery, and so on. Without hesitation, Ye Shuang clicked to confirm his learning, which happened to be the skill he urgently needed at the current stage. He mysteriously checked into the God of Being system and infused the skill information into Ye Shuang's mind. The feeling of absorbing knowledge is very addictive, and Ye Shuang is now immersed in this vast knowledge. He can't help but start awkwardly waving his hands like a gorilla dancing by the fire. With a simple smile and dancing hands, Ye Shuang, whose eyes were blurred, regained his silly mode, breaking once again the tall image he had finally established. Bullet Screen 1. That's it, Brother Baihua is foolish again. P.S. That ID, the little brother who likes to fly, I remember you. You still owe us a live broadcast of eating and flying. Bullet Screen X. Why is it over with Brother Baihua? He's not stupid, he's a fool. Bullet Screen 8. You read a lot, and you have the final say. The title of Fire-Worshipping Brother was given to Ye Shuang by the audience. With his beautiful skills of catching fire in the rain, Ye Shuang successfully gained his first group of fans. At this moment, more and more people are pouring into Ye Shuang's live broadcast room. Seeing this popularity, Xiao is extremely happy in her heart. Ceylon Sports Company is on the brink of bankruptcy, and Xiao cannot bear to see the company disband. At this time, Ye Shuang's appearance, like a savior, saved their dog's life. As long as Ye Shuang plays steadily, Xiao seems to be able to see that sponsors and more other resources will find them in the future. Bullet Screen A. What kind of fire worshipper is this? I secretly opened the live broadcast at work, just show me this. Bullet Screen X. Isn't this pretty? The unique dance of Baihua Go is not something that ordinary people can watch. The audience of this Barrage X has obviously entered the rhythm of loyal fans and cannot tolerate their idols. But on the screen, most of the newcomers, seeing Ye Shuang's silly appearance, roast about the media's title party and cover party. Xiao was very angry and began to beat the rhythm, constantly asking the team members to switch the recording materials for starting a fire, and began to create momentum for Ye Shuang. Ye Shuang finally finished digesting the complete collection of Neolithic techniques, stopped his unconscious dance, and saw at a glance the round stone pieces he had spent over an hour crafting. I'll go, how could I make such an ugly round stone piece? The hole is so rough. Ye Shuang, who has completed the transformation, roast about the round stone flakes he has just finished painstakingly. He can't think highly of them. Now Ye Shuang's eyes are experts. Goo suddenly, Ye Shuang's stomach rang, and the strong hunger in his stomach pounded his nerves. From yesterday until now, after a night and half a day, Ye Shuang has only eaten a few fruits, and his stomach has finally protested. Digging out the remaining fruits from yesterday, Ye Shuang wolfed them down. Ding! Trigger a random task to make a portion of food using a campfire, limited to 6 hours. Note: an edible portion must be non-toxic and sufficient to fill your stomach. Reward: small trap making. Ye Shuang almost choked on the fruit pit when he saw the task reward. After finally calming down, Ye Shuang showed a look of full energy. The food made by a campfire looks quite challenging. Ye Shuang walked out of the wooden shed and found that the rain had finally stopped, and the wilderness in front of him emitted abundant moisture. Suddenly, Ye Shuang saw several small dots sprouting from the wet bark of the big tree trunk ahead that he thought had a camera. Ye Shuang ran over directly and saw a few small mushrooms. His tree-sweeping skill allowed him to sense that these mushrooms were not poisonous. He twisted them off directly, and these 5 mushrooms were less than the size of a finger. Hee, the taste of roasted mushrooms should be right. Ye Shuang revealed his big white teeth again and said to the tree above, thinking there were hidden cameras on the tree. It just happened to rain, and these mushrooms are likely to absorb a lot of water and come out. I quickly found them all and made a grilled mushroom feast. Ye Shuang estimated that collecting a portion of mushrooms would be a huge project to fill his stomach. In order to acquire the skill of making small traps, Ye Shuang buried his head and rushed into the distant forest, embarking on his great journey of mushroom picking. At this moment, a small episode appeared in Huang Yi's office. The originally good atmosphere of conversation was interrupted by Zhang Da's continuous phone calls. In accordance with professional ethics, Zhang Da hung up a few times, but this call kept coming in. Sorry, I'll take a call. Amidst Huang Yi's slightly nervous expression, Zhang Da covered the phone and answered it. After a few words, he smiled and sat in front of Huang Yi. By the way, Mr. Huang, you're a bit unkind. Ye Shuang is still a hot topic. Huang Yi smiles awkwardly. He has been a veteran for so many years. He estimates that so many phone calls and information have exposed the value of Ye Shuang. So Huang Yi was also very straightforward, throwing his trump card directly. Transfer Ye Shuang's brokerage contract to me, and I will help him repay his 300,000 debt. Additionally, I will give you 100,000 credit points. Upon hearing this, Zhang De picked up the contract and signed it with a swoop. 100,000 credit points could be worth his annual income. Chapter 07. Roasted Mushrooms. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the quiet island, Ye Shuang returned from the forest with a large bag of mushrooms in his hand. The bag is woven from hemp plants and leaves collected by Ye Shuang on the road. The bag of Ye Shuang, who has learned the complete set of Neolithic techniques, only took 10 minutes and looks very durable. Roast mushrooms. We're going to have a grilled mushroom feast tonight. Ye Shuang poured out mushrooms in front of Mupeng, and after several hours of hard work, Ye Shuang collected a bunch of edible fresh mushrooms and fungus. First, reignite the fire. There is still a pile of dry firewood in the wooden shed, and the fire has burned to the point where only red ashes remain. Ye Shuang added the firewood and reignited the bonfire in the sunset. Then Ye Shuang found a small wooden branch nearby and casually found a few pieces of material that could be used to grind stone tools. Not bad, it can be used to make stone knives. Ye Shuang put down the wooden branch and started making stone knives. 2 large stones served as polishing bases, and Ye Shuang gently tapped the stones to create a rough shape, then quickly rubbed against the base. Ye Shuang, who was skilled in his movements, obtained a stone shard that could be cut in just a few minutes. He wrapped his hand around bark fibers, making it look like something. Next is dealing with mushrooms. Ye Shuang felt extremely hungry and quickly picked up a branch, used a stone knife to remove the leaves and branches, and strung the mushrooms directly on top. Watching strings of mushrooms start emitting white smoke on the fire, the sign in system pops up a prompt. Ding! Complete the task to obtain the creation of a small trap. Ye Shuang's somewhat tired expression suddenly shook. It seemed that this pile of mushrooms had been recognized by the system, and task rewards were directly issued. Ye Shuang eagerly lifted his wrist and clicked on the menu on the virtual screen. Small trap making. There are countless materials in nature that can be used to make traps. Make good use of them, and you will survive better in the wilderness. Obviously, this is a highly practical skill, and the system directly evaluates its ability to improve the quality of wilderness survival. Without hesitation, Ye Shuang clicked on the Learn button. After countless pieces of information flowed into his mind, he opened his eyes again and saw more usage experiences from the materials inside the wooden shed. So traps can be made like this. Ye Shuang picked up the remaining bark and skillfully twisted out 2 ropes, quickly creating 2 rope traps under the fire. While the mushrooms were still not cooked, Ye Shuang picked up a stone knife and several resilient wooden sticks to create an experimental trigger trap mechanism on the ground. Ye Shuang first used a stone knife to make a trigger buckle on a small wooden stick, and then used 3 wooden sticks with tree branches to position themselves in a straight line on the ground. This is the basic stake position for a simple trap. The killing power of this simple mechanism comes from an extremely resilient wooden stick. 3 wooden sticks with branches were driven into the ground by Ye Shuang, and the middle branch pressed against the killing stick. Ye Shuang gently tried the force by covering one end of the stick with his hand. Not bad. Ye Shuang said, pulling up one end of the stick, then attaching the trigger buckle to the edge of the tree branch stick, and then pulling up the other end to stand on the tree branch. The entire stick took on the shape of a crescent moon. At this point, as long as the bait is placed at the buckle position and an animal comes to eat or passes through the crossbar under the buckle, a trap will be triggered, and the crescent-shaped wooden stick on top will turn back into gravity and fall. Looking at his masterpiece, Ye Shuang couldn't help but show a simple and sincere smile. Suddenly, there was a rustling sound coming from the grass in the distance of the wooden shed, and Ye Shuang reflexively grabbed a wooden stick and looked over. In the darkness, the firelight from the wooden shed was not far away, and the grass swayed in the night wind with black shadows, giving off a somewhat eerie aura. Who's there? Ye Shuang let out a loud shout to cheer himself up, pointing his wooden stick towards the dark grass. The audience who saw this scene in the live broadcast room were overjoyed, and many fans of the same contestant number 7's room noticed that the camera overlapped with the beginning of room number 3. Bullet screen A. I actually saw the scene of contestant number 3, hurry up and watch. Great God and Goddess in the same frame. Bullet screen B. Such a meaningful scene must first be captured and preserved. Bullet screen C. Poor third player seems to have luck. At this moment, in the villa area of Tianlan City, Chen Rini, chairman of Jiuyao Group, is sitting in front of the TV, with the official third contestant squatting in the grass on the screen. Sir, it seems that the young lady has encountered other contestants this time, the butler-like old man whispered, looking at the woman on TV with a look of heartache on her face. Next to Chen Rini sat a dignified woman, her eyes slightly red as she watched the TV camera, clearly crying just now. Chen Rini, let me tell you. No matter what, you can't force Yiting to come back this time. Otherwise, we'll get divorced. Chen Rini seemed to have a headache and pointed to the TV to shift the topic, saying, Madam, Yiting has persisted for 2 days. Now that she meets other contestants, it's okay, don't worry. Humph. I'll let you go to the deserted island unarmed and give it a try in 2 days. You haven't seen what Yiting looks like, don't you feel sorry? Mrs. Chen exclaimed excitedly, seeing Chen Yiting's dirty appearance on TV, still barefoot and with scratches on her body. Don't worry, I think the third contestant seems to be a loyal person who will help us Yiting to some extent. Chen Rini's attention fell on Ye Shuang, whose tall and honest appearance seemed to give people peace of mind. On the deserted island, Ye Shuang felt increasing pressure coming from the dark grass. If you don't come out again, I'll smash it over. Ye Shuang said as he picked up a stone and pretended to smash it. He thought to himself that if no one responded, he could at least scare away the things inside. Don't hit me, I'll come out. In Ye Shuang's eyes, a petite figure walked out of the grass, dark and unable to see who it was. Are you a survival athlete? Ye Shuang asked cautiously, but the stone in his hand was lowered. In this low-level survival competition, players are not allowed to harm each other, otherwise their qualifications and punishment will be revoked. Big brother, no, uncle, can I stay with you all night? It's too dark outside, I'm so scared. Chen Yiting looked pitifully at Ye Shuang and saw that the man had a simple and honest face, looking quite young. She quickly changed her name to uncle. Ye Shuang touched his face and touched Hu Zhazi, ignoring Chen Yiting's address. Looking at Chen Yiting's disheveled appearance under the firelight, Ye Shuang almost nodded and said. Okay, you can stay, but don't touch my things. No problem, don't worry. Chen Yiting seemed to recover her spirits in an instant, wiping away the non-existent tears on her face and walking towards the fire with great familiarity. Ah! Uncle, your mushrooms are burnt. I'll help you put them away. Chen Yiting walked to the fire and saw the grilled mushrooms. She immediately jumped up and picked up a string, biting it without hesitation. Ye Shuang patted his forehead and said, What if you don't touch my things? Chapter 08. Teammates. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chen Yiting had never eaten such delicious mushrooms before. She rubbed her stomach with satisfaction and looked at the vigilant Ye Shuang with a charming smile. Ye Shuang ignored the girl's pleasing smile directly, and he was also very satisfied with the mushroom in his heart at the moment. No wonder the system could pass the task assessment directly. The freshness of the mushrooms themselves, after absorbing rainwater and roasting them over fire, creates a fragrance that rivals that of Michelin restaurants, even if Ye Shuang has never tried Michelin. Cough cough, Chen Yaqi suddenly coughed after finishing her meal, obviously choking. Upon seeing this, Ye Shuang quickly searched for water and then awkwardly realized that he had forgotten to store water when it rained. Come on, eat this fruit. It's still hydrated. Ye Shuang handed Chen Yiting the wild fruit he found while picking mushrooms. Although this wild fruit is sour, it is rich in vitamins and beneficial for teeth cleaning. Chen Yiting's eyes lit up and she rudely took it over to take a bite. The juice filled her mouth, and the sour and sweet taste made her feel like fruit after eating. Ye Shuang saw that the other party was eating comfortably, so he picked up one and started nibbling on it himself. "What are you?" Chen Yiting pointed to the trigger trap that Ye Shuanggang had just set up and pushed her hand towards the crossbar. Ye Shuang was burying his head in eating fruit, and when he heard the sound, he was so scared that the fruit in his mouth sprayed out. "Don't touch it." Chen Yiting just slammed the crossbar and triggered the trap of the mechanism, causing the wooden stick above to lose its support and crash towards her. Chen Yiting's mind went blank with a bang, staring blankly at the mechanism in front of her as it smashed down. She even forgot to pull her hand back. In the live broadcast room, countless people exclaimed that this was actually a mechanism, and it seemed that the force of the wooden stick pulling down after activation was likely to interrupt the rhythm of Chen Yiting's hands. Ah! Mrs. Chen had originally seen Chen Yiting eat a good meal, but accidentally fell into danger, her eyes turning black and she almost fainted on the ground. Pop! The sound of a wooden stick hitting the ground was heard in the video, and Chen Renyi's mental strength was quite strong. It was only when he nervously saw Ye Shuang save Chen Yiting at the critical moment that he breathed a sigh of relief. This young man is not bad. Tian Bo will go find his information and give him the chance to win 10 rockets as a token of gratitude. Butler Tian Bo took orders, and just now he was also quite scared. After regaining his senses, he quickly arranged for people to collect information and brush rockets. At this moment, fans of Chen Yiting and fans of Ye Shuang in the live broadcast room successfully met up, and when they saw that Chen Yiting was fine, a large wave of gifts immediately came out. However, the most impressive one is the account that Tian Bo helped register. The 10 rocket is worth 50,000 points of credit, which can be considered as the top reward in the low-level area. I saw a banner across the live broadcast room. Tingting's top fan rewarded contestant number 7 with 10 rockets, please take good care of Gu Tingting. Bullet Screen 1. This can't be done by the big shot of the live streaming foodie. Bullet Screen 2. I can testify that the big shot is already preparing to fly, he doesn't have the money to brush rockets. Bullet Screen 3. Hahaha, the number 1 fan should be me. I'll brush 10 spicy strips for Tingting. In the live broadcast room, Ye Shuang's consecutive performances have already refreshed the audience's impression of him. A casual manipulation is a highly destructive trap, bringing such a high surprise to the audience. More and more people are flocking to see Ye Shuang, and his popularity has directly topped the first place in Zone A this round, with a popularity value exceeding 1,000 points. At present, Chen Long ranks second with 354 points of popularity, and Chen Yiting ranks third with 320 points of popularity, with little difference between the two. I said don't touch my things. Do you know how dangerous it is? Ye Shuang's voice was a bit angry. There was a trap under his feet as he kicked away. If it weren't for his quick reaction just now, it was estimated that Chen Yiting would have been forced to withdraw from the competition by the organizers. After all, the player who had been beaten to a bone fracture could not have stayed in the competition area. Chen Yiting was scolded loudly by Ye Shuang, tears welled up in her eyes, and her aggrieved expression seemed to be about to burst into tears. Upon seeing this, Ye Shuang's head suddenly became as big as an ox. He had never had close contact with other women of the same age in his lifetime, making him a peerless otaku. Don't cry, I apologize. It was my fault, right? Ye Shuang quickly said, flustered in front of Chen Yiting. The audience in the live broadcast room shook their heads as they saw Ye Shuang, the little white man. Chen Yiting saw Ye Shuang's anxious expression and burst into a smile. She suppressed the tears in her eyes and said, "Are you a trap? It's so powerful, I almost broke my hand." After seeing that Chen Yiting was not crying, Ye Shuang tidied up the mess on the ground and sat silently next to the tempering pile. Seeing Ye Shuang's appearance, Chen Yiting thought the other party was still angry and whispered in a small woman's voice, "I'm sorry, uncle. It's my fault. I promise I won't tamper with your things in the future." Ye Shuang snorted lightly as an answer, still playing with the buckles and other materials needed for the small trap. He must prepare these tonight and set up the trap after dawn. Luckily, there will be a big meal tomorrow night. Seeing Ye Shuang carefully making materials, Chen Yiting was slightly taken aback. In the firelight, Ye Shuang's focused profile looked somewhat handsome. "Cough, what's your name, uncle?" Chen Yiting looked at the atmosphere as it was a bit dull and asked. The information between the contestants could be made public, but with so many people and Ye Shuang not outstanding, Chen Yiting didn't even remember Ye Shuang. Ye Shuang heard Chen Yu cough and thought he was thirsty again. He took out a fruit from the wide leaf behind and handed it to him. "My name is Ye Shuang. You can eat some fruit and sleep, and the grass inside will make up for it." Chen Yiting caught the fruit in a daze, looking at Ye Shuang's face and the clear and bright look in her eyes, as if her heart had been touched. Uncle, my name is Yiting. Don't you have any water here? I know where there is a water source." Chen Yiting bit a fruit from the fire and said with a smile. Upon hearing about the water source, Ye Shuang immediately became interested. After all, where there is a water source, it indicates that there must be other animals, and he can obtain more survival resources. Seeing Ye Shuang's appearance, Chen Yiting knew that she had taken the bait and directly offered her conditions, saying, "I can tell you the location of the water source, but I will team up with you until 3 months later." After hearing this, Ye Shuang immediately regained his calm expression. He came for the championship, and now with the help of a mysterious system, he was determined to win. He didn't want to share the prize money with others. Moreover, there is only one champion in this round of competitive competition. If multiple players persist for 90 days at the same time, the time will be postponed until only one player is left after continuously withdrawing. Chen Yiting saw through Ye Shuang's thoughts and spoke again. Stingy guy, I just need to team up with you and persist in completing the challenge for 90 days. Then I don't want any bonuses, so I'll give up automatically, okay?" Ye Shuang suddenly raised his eyebrows, raised his wrist, and looked at Chen Yiting, revealing his big white teeth. "No problem, Miss Yiting, welcome to join." Chapter 09. Tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ye Shuang quickly agreed to Chen Yiting's team formation because of the system's task release. Trigger random task. Journey partner. Accept a player as the teammate for the original competitive challenge, ensure that the teammate completes the 90-day challenge, and reward the task with an S.level physical fitness card. If the task fails, deduct one of the host's skills. Do you accept it? Ye Shuang looked at the information on the S.level physical fitness fragment card and immediately accepted the task without hesitation, feeling very excited. S.level physical fragment card. After use, it can improve the host's physical fitness by 10 points. The system produces products to ensure safety and worry-free improvement of strength. Warm reminder. Currently, the physical fitness index is 6, and the highest physical fitness index for ordinary humans is 10. If he can obtain an S.level physical fitness card, Ye Shuang can improve his physical fitness to 16 points, making him one of the world's top athletes, such as the Special Forces King or the Olympic all-around champion. Chen Yiting, who had obtained Ye Shuang's agreement, immediately smiled and showed a small white tooth. Her 2 dimples swayed in the firelight. At this moment, Ye Shuang's eyes were fixed on Chen Yiting, his heart stimulated by the reward of the S.level physical fitness card, and he showed a simple and honest smile. Chen Yiting saw that Ye Shuangding was fixed on looking at her, even laughing a bit absent-mindedly. She couldn't help but blush and feel a little nervous. Why does Ye Shuang look a bit strange? Hello. Uncle, I'm telling you I've learned self-defense. If you look at me like this again, be careful not to be impolite. Chen Yiting's coquettish cheers woke Ye Shuang up, realizing that his loss of composure was somewhat awkward. He quickly changed the topic. Yiting, since we're teammates now, could you tell me the location of the water source? Tomorrow, I'll go over there and set up some traps. Chen Yiting stood up and tried to identify the direction under the moonlight, but finally said with uncertainty, it should be over there. I walked from there for about half a day. Ye Shuang looked at the dark night pointed at by Chen Yiting and couldn't see clearly where it was. Helplessly, he said, all right, let's go and take a look together at dawn. Chen Yiting nodded according to the words, feeling a bit tired after eating and drinking. She couldn't help but stretch lazily, and her graceful figure immediately became apparent. Ye Shuang awkwardly placed the sunlight back on the trap material in his hand, afraid to look at Chen Yiting again. Chen Yiting's temperament and appearance are all standards of white wealth and beauty. Ye Shuang has never had such extravagance before. After focusing on production, she slowly regained her composure. Chen Yiting smiled, revealing a slight smile behind Ye Shuang's face. It was intentional, and if Ye Shuangliu showed a malicious expression or anything else, Chen Yiting might choose to leave. In the wilderness of this deserted island, Chen Yiting is not at ease with Ye Shuang at night. Even with drones and small cameras, she is still worried that Ye Shuang will cause trouble. Even if Huang Yi sends someone to save her, the yellow cauliflower will be cold. After probing, Chen Yiting finally let go of her guard and walked to the edge of the haystack inside the wooden shed, feeling very satisfied. The haystack bed in front of her was clearly carefully arranged by Ye Shuang. Chen Yiting sat on it and felt the dryness and warmth of the haystack, silently watching Ye Shuang's back. Unconsciously, Chen Yiting fell asleep like this. The next morning, there was a cry of surprise inside the wooden shed. Ah! Chen Yiting sat up from the haystack and first insisted that her clothes were fine before relaxing. The female contestant in the competition is better than the male contestant, with a T-shirt and shorts, unlike Ye Shuang who only has a tank top and shorts, at least she doesn't have to be naked. Good morning, uncle. Chen Yiting yawned and greeted Ye Shuang with a smile, who was wearing a pair of black circles under her eyes. Ye Shuang looked at Chen Yiting with a resentful expression and nodded as a greeting. Uncle, did you not sleep well last night? It's all my fault for occupying your grass bed. Today, I'll tidy up one myself so that I can have a good night's sleep. Chen Yiting instinctively walked to the fire, picked up the remaining 2 fruits, handed one to Ye Shuang, and ate one herself. At this moment, the audience who were still watching in the live broadcast room were laughing uncontrollably, because Chen Yiting had never slept well in a row. She was sleeping in Ye Shuang's wooden shed in a daze, snoring like thunder. So Ye Shuangyi was so noisy all night that he couldn't sleep, lying on the open ground of the fire, tossing and turning, wondering if he shouldn't take on this task. I've eaten it, you can eat it. After finishing, let's go to the water source earlier, Ye Shuangwen said in a muffled voice. Chen Yiting felt that Ye Shuang's spirit was not very good. She spat out her fragrant tongue and casually ate all the fruits, which tasted good and had a sobering effect on her breath. Chen Yiting finished eating, feeling full of strength and full of confidence in completing the 90-day challenge. Let's go, uncle. Go early and come back early. Chen Yiting walked out of the wooden shed, identified the direction, and found the approximate route. Ye Shuang looked at the scratches on Chen Yiting's bare feet, as well as many red marks on her calves. She looked at Chen Yiting with a little admiration, and the girl still seemed to have some willpower. Wait a moment, you come over. Ye Shuang pointed to the big stone in front of him and gestured for Chen Yiting to sit down. Chen Yiting walked over and sat down. The two of them were not far apart, and she felt a slight blush. Uncle, what do you want? Without saying a word, Ye Shuang lowered his head and picked up a thin stick, gesturing at Chen Yiting's foot. This action appeared very abrupt and intimate, and Chen Yiting stood up with a swoop, almost kicking her. Sorry, I'll measure you and weave a pair of grass shoes for you. Ye Shuang looked up awkwardly. Even though Chen Yiting had walked so far in the wilderness, her toes were still incredibly crystal clear and fair. Ye Shuang felt heartbroken after being injured. Chen Yiting discovered that Ye Shuang was wearing a pair of sturdy grass shoes under his feet. Wow! Uncle, you still know how to make grass shoes. Ye Shuang nodded and held the measured wooden stick, thinking to himself, what small feet are you? Then, Ye Shuang took out the remaining bark and hemp fibers, and his hands seemed to be dancing. After 15 minutes, he put down a pair of grass shoes in front of Chen Yiting. Chen Yiting was delighted to put it on in surprise, and it fit perfectly. That's amazing, uncle. Thank you. Chen Yiting's feet had already worn through a few blisters, and if it weren't for her own reasons to persist, she would have given up long ago. At this moment, with these grass shoes, Chen Yiting felt the worn blisters pressing against the soft grass bottom, and her heart was once again touched. Let's go, hold this stick on the way and push away the grass leaves to avoid scratching. Ye Shuang handed Chen Yiting a wooden stick, picked up the trap materials he had prepared, and took the lead in walking towards the direction pointed out by Chen Yiting. According to the location pointed and described by Chen Yiting, Ye Shuang roughly guessed the distance, and without any accidents, they could arrive in just 3 hours. Chapter 10. Fishing Traps. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The water source discovered by Chen Yiting is located at the bottom of a slope. Ye Shuang and Chen Yiting, wearing grass shoes with clear goals, arrived at this small stream smoothly all the way. Seeing the clear water source of the stream and the faint movement of small fish and shrimp, Ye Shuang had a new idea in his heart. Yiting, let's swim up and see how the environment is up there. Chen Yiting is now sweating profusely, with sweat marks on the chest and back of her T-shirt. It's not bad that she can persist after walking for so long. But she gritted her teeth and stood up, not wanting to appear too incompetent in front of Ye Shuangliang. Let's go then. Chen Yiting stood up and felt the sky and earth spinning in an instant. She fell backwards in front of her, and when she regained consciousness, she found herself supported by Ye Shuang, narrowly avoiding fainting to the ground. Sorry, I overlooked your stamina and can only hold on until now. Let's take a break first. By the creek, Ye Shuang could think of many ways to catch food. At that moment, Ye Shuang took out his wooden stick, took away the moss from the top, and poured out the remaining warm ashes. Then Ye Shuang quickly raised a fire, giving people a greater sense of security in the wild no matter what weather. You can eat a few roasted mushrooms first to replenish your energy, while I collect some food. Ye Shuang couldn't help but distribute the few mushrooms on his body to Chen Yiting, and then walked towards the distance with a stone knife. Just now, Ye Shuang saw the existence of a bamboo forest from afar, and he wanted to go and take a look. Following the river, Ye Shuang walked briskly on stones, and after about a 5-minute journey, he saw this green bamboo. Good luck. Bamboo has a higher utilization rate than wood. Ye Shuang rushed over and quickly used a stone knife to cut down a few bamboo trees in the shade, removing the branches. At this moment, Ye Shuang felt as if the stone knife was not as fast as the stone axe, and planned to start rearranging the tools later. Bamboo shoots. After chopping the bamboo, Ye Shuang quickly discovered several bamboo shoots. He quickly dug out a few, looked at the time, and picked up the bamboo pole to walk back. After resting, Chen Yiting slowly regained her strength by eating a few mushrooms. She sat there in a daze, thinking that she had just been held in Ye Shuang's arms. Her face turned slightly red and conflicted. I found bamboo. Next, I can boil water to drink and weave bamboo traps to catch fish. Upon hearing Ye Shuang's words, Chen Yiting quickly stood up and awkwardly pinched her own hem, afraid to look at Ye Shuang. Hey, are you okay? Chen Yiting quickly shook her head and said, It's okay. Uncle, you found the bamboo shoots. I'll help you clean them up. Ye Shuang felt relieved when he saw Chen Yiting regain her normal vitality. At this moment, the weather is hot and the atmosphere is very high. Ye Shuang wants to drink water from a small stream, but is afraid of parasites in the water. So he swallowed his throat and quickly picked up a stone knife to start making a simple bamboo tube. A few minutes later, Ye Shuang came to the creek with a few bamboo tubes, submerged the opening into the water, and filled it with water gurgling. That's great, so we can boil hot water and drink. Chen Yiting smiled happily when she saw Ye Shuang's skillful hands using a bamboo tube to create a container for boiling water. Ye Shuang said that the bamboo tube was fixed on the supported tree trunk and then placed next to the fire to start cooking. Alright, after the water boils, be careful to clamp it and take it out, don't burn the bamboo tube and the water will leak out. In a short period of time, Ye Shuang also made a large clamp out of bamboo, which was easily split open with a stone knife, grabbed a wooden stick, and tied it with a rope. With a little force, the bamboo that was split into two pieces could be inserted above the fire to clamp out the object. After finishing the water, Ye Shuangma kept preparing to use bamboo chips to make fishing traps. Only when a stone knife cuts bamboo slices, the efficiency of Ye Shuang is not high. When the bamboo tube starts to emit white air while boiling water, Ye Shuang prepares bamboo strips for the entire area. The conditions are rudimentary, and the skills are sufficient. Ye Shuang got serious and forgot about the passage of time. He saw him holding bamboo pieces and constantly flipping his hands, gradually forming a funnel-shaped object in his hands. That's amazing. Chen Yiting exclaimed in her heart that at this moment, the water in the bamboo tube began to roll, and the surface was black. It seemed that the water inside should be okay. Chen Yiting quickly used a clamp to carefully clamp it and set it aside. The weather was hot, and this bamboo tube was starting to cool down, which would definitely take some time. Seeing the small stream next to her, Chen Yiting had a sudden idea and grabbed a bamboo tube of boiling water to go and put it into the water to cool down. Quickly, Chen Yiting smiled and felt the temperature of the bamboo tube drop. She wrapped the bamboo tube in leaves and cooled the boiling water by the stream. Whoo! Get it done. Ye Shuang didn't know Chen Yiting's movements. After completing the final process, he stopped with satisfaction and looked at the trap in front of him with a simple smile. Uncle, come and drink water. I just boiled it and put it in the stream to cool it down. It's just enough to drink. Chen Yiting was amazed and glanced at the trap. Although she didn't know how to use it, she immediately brought her achievements over. Ye Shuang's eyes lit up, and indeed, having a smart teammate saved a lot of trouble. Moreover, Ye Shuang was extremely thirsty. He immediately took the warm water from the bamboo joint, looked up, and drank it in one breath. How comfortable! Ye Shuang felt the refreshing relaxation of his cells after water entered his body. Seeing Chen Yiting smiling, he also accompanied him with a simple and honest smile. Have you had a drink, Yiting? Chen Yiting nodded and pointed to the trap. I've had it, uncle. We have some water to drink, but our stomachs still feel hungry. Can we catch fish with this? Ye Shuang confidently said, definitely, let's set up traps and survey the surrounding environment. At this moment it was noon and the sun was shining the most. Ye Shuang took an unfinished wooden stick and put it into the water, squeezing out a dark object. Come on, sunscreen. Ye Shuang reached out to Chen Yiting with a dark object in his hand, causing her to cry and laugh uncontrollably. Can I not wipe this? Ye Shuang nodded casually and applied a layer of natural sunscreen on his arms, face, and nose. Seeing Chen Yiting's fair skin, he thought for a moment and chopped off a few broad-leaved branches from the side, quickly weaving a simple wide-brimmed hat. Put it on, let's go. Chen Yiting took the hat with satisfaction and put it on. The large leaves covered half of her upper body, perfectly fitting. Uncle, you're so amazing. Chen Yiting didn't hesitate to praise, and the two of them followed Ye Shuang's footsteps upstream. At this moment, the live broadcast room is already noisy and the majority of the audience is focused on the funnel trap in Ye's hands. Seeing Ye Shuang's stable popularity now, Xiao Xiao felt very fulfilled. Seeing the audience begin to analyze, she cooperated and threw out a vote. Let's vote and bet on whether Baihua Ji's trap can catch fish. Suddenly, a guessing window popped up on the screen, and countless viewers participated. In the final betting, 37% of the audience believed that Ye Shuang could catch the fish. It seems that many people still do not have confidence in the strange thing that Ye Shuang has concocted.